Grabe, back to reality na naman tayo. Ang lamig na naman dito sa Canada. Kamusta mga kababayan kong job seekers at naghahanap ng opportunities papunta dito sa Canada? Ngayong araw na ito, another exciting na topic ang ating pag-uusapan about Canada's sponsorship. Sino ba ang eligible dito? Ano ba ang sponsorship? At papaano ang proseso nito? Yan ang ating pag-uusapan for today. Coffee time po muna tayo mga kababayan. Salamat sa Diyos sa isa na naman mabuting pagkakataon para makapag-usap-usap tayo muli at makapagbahagi ako sa inyo ng mga important information na inyong magagamit in your application papunta dito sa Canada. Doon sa mga bago pa lang sa akin channel, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell para ma-notify kayo pag may bago akong video kasi sayang naman po kung mapapalampas nyo yung mga tips, advices at saka mga oportunidad kung talagang serious kayo na makapunta dito sa Canada. At kung kayo naman po ay nahihirapan pumasok dito sa Canada, meron po tayong alternative na program na tinatawag na USEB3 program. Sa United States of America po ito ha. As a green card holder kayo, permanent resident, or landed immigrant po kayo, pagdating nyo po sa United States of America at pwede ko po kayo matulungan dito kasi ako po ay partner agent na Mercant Group Immigration Services pagdating sa USEB3 visa program. Doon po sa mga willing, ipagbigay alam nyo lang po sa akin by leaving a comment below stating USEB3. Huwag nyo pong ilalagay na interested lang kayo kasi hindi ko po malalaman kung interested po ba kayo sa United States of America or interested po ba kayo na makapunta dito sa Canada. At ang magandang balita dito is no IELTS, no education, no experience, no age limit, no show money po. Yun nga lang. Aabot po sa $13,000 ang gagastusin nyo dito at 2 to 3 years po ang processing for this program. So ano lang po ito ha, doon lang po sa mga willing at interested. Hindi ko po kayo pinipilit or hindi ko po pinagpipilitan ang programang ito sa inyo. Baka lang po kasi meron pong interested for this program. Now, balik na po tayo dito sa Canada kung saan ang pag-uusapan po natin is all about sponsorship. Ano nga ba itong sponsorship? Ano po ba ang lumalaro sa inyong isipan pag narinig nyo yung word na sponsorship? Kasi marami po nagtatanong sa akin, Sir, papaano po ba? Meron po nagsabi sa akin, yung kaibigan ko daw po, i-sponsoran daw po nila ako. Yung relative ko po, i-sponsoran din daw po nila ako. So, papaano nga ba? At sino ba ang eligible na mag-sponsor para sa inyo? Kasi maaari pong meron po tayong iba't ibang interpretasyon pagdating sa word na sponsorship. Halimbawa nga po na yung inyong kaibigan, sinabihan po kayo na i-sponsoran niya kayo. Ano po bang ibig sabihin nito? Kailangan i-clarify niyo po muna ha? Ano bang ibig sabihin niya na i-sponsoran niya kayo? Ibig po ba niyang sabihin na tutulungan niya kayo na makapunta dito kasi meron po siyang kakilala na employer? Or tutulungan niya po kayo na makapunta dito at mag-a-act po siya as an employer? Kasi ang isa pong employer dito sa Canada, kailangan pong dumaan sa isang proseso bago niya po kayo ma-hire dito. Mapakakilala nyo yan or mapa-direct hire yan, ay meron po silang gagastusin dito sa Canada pagdating sa pag-process ng inyong papers. Kailangan po kasi nilang dumaan do sa process ng LMIA na tinatawag yung Labor Market Impact Assessment. Isa po ito sa requirement ng employer dito sa Canada para makapag-hire po sila ng foreign workers. Kailangan mapatunayan po muna nila sa Government of Canada na yung business nila is with good standing. Pangalawa, sinubukan po nila with all their efforts na mag-hire po muna dito ng mga locals at napatunayan po nila na wala po silang makuha na locals dito, wala po silang ma-hire dito. Kaya mag-hire po sila ngayon ng foreign workers na katulad po ninyo. So, ganun po ha. Maaaring yung inyong kaibigan is mag-a-act as an employer dito or may employer dito na papatunayan niya sa Government of Canada na kailangan po niya mag-hire ng foreign workers, or may relatives po kayo na gusto po kayong i-hire. Same din po yung process na mangyayari kasi kailangan po nilang dumaan sa process na ito. For more information about hiring temporary foreign worker, ilalagay ko po yung link below para mabasa nyo po, mapag-aralan ninyo, at ma-share nyo rin doon sa gustong mag-hire sa inyo. So, sana po malinaw yung unang bahaging yan na gusto ko pong i-impart sa inyo. Ngayon, dako na po tayo doon sa relative sponsorship. Yung spousal sponsorship, family sponsorship, or yung tinatawag na parent and grandparent sponsorship para malaman nyo po kung pasok po kayo or eligible po kayo na ma-sponsoran, at yung mag-i-sponsor din po dito ay eligible for this program na option dito sa Canada. Wala na po tayong ibang pupuntahan na website, na official na website pagdating po sa citizenship and immigration, kundi sa cic.gc.ca. So, papakita ko po sa inyo kung saan po kayong website na pupunta. I-type lang po natin yung cic.gc.ca and then hit go. And then, syempre, piliin po natin yung English. Baba lang po tayo at puntahan po natin yung word na immigrate. And then, hanapin po natin yung word na family sponsorship. Ayan po Merong pwedeng mga sponsor. Nakalagay po dito, sponsor your spouse, partner, or dependent children, sponsor your parents and grandparents, sponsor your relatives. Yan po yung tatlo na pag-uusapan natin for today. Umpisahan po natin doon sa sponsor your spouse, partner, or dependent children. I-click po natin yan. At makikita po natin dito yung all about the process, yung eligibility, who you can sponsor, how to apply, and then after you apply. Madali lang naman pong intindihin ito mga kababayan, itong patungkol dito sa proseso nila. About the process, nakalagay po, if you are eligible, you can sponsor your spouse, partner, or dependent children to become a permanent resident of Canada. Ito po, dito po sa part ng mag-i-sponsor sa inyo. If you do, you must be able to support them financially. Make sure they don't need social assistance from the government. Ibig sabihin po, yung mag-i-sponsor sa inyo, siya po talaga ang magsusupport sa inyo dito pagdating nyo dito sa Canada. Magkano po ang fees? Sponsor a spouse, partner from 1,050 Canadian dollars or a child from $150. Ang processing time po nito aabot po sa 12 months, and then to sponsor a child varies depending by country. And then sa pangalawa po, makikita natin dito, check if you are eligible. Ito po sa part ng mag-i-sponsor Pwede nyo pong i-share ito sa inyong relative or yung spouse ninyo na mag-i-sponsor sa inyo para mabasa po niya at malaman niya po kung paano kayo niya matutulungan at ma-sponsoran. Who is eligible to sponsor their spouse? Kailangan po siya ay at least 18 years old, Canadian citizen po siya rito, or permanent resident po siya. They are able to prove that they are not receiving social assistance for reasons other than disability. They can provide for the basic needs of any person they wanted to sponsor. Yan po sa bahagi na mag-sponsor. Now, sa inyo naman, na i-sponsoran, ito po dapat, your spouse. Okay? So kayo po ito legally married dapat po kayo and at least 18 years old. Or pwede rin po yung common law partner. Your common law partner isn't legally married to you, can be either sex, male or female po yan, is at least 18 years old, has been living with you for at least 12 consecutive months, meaning you've been living together continuously for 1 year in a conjugal relationship. So, kailangan mapatunayan nyo po ito na nagsasama po kayo kung kayo po ay common law partner. Any time spent away from each other should have been short and temporary. Pwede rin pong i-sponsor yung conjugal partner. Na andito po yung mga eligibility na kung sino yung i-sponsoran. And then, yung dependent children, kasama rin po. Children qualify as dependents if they meet both of these requirements. They're under 22 years old. They don't have a spouse or common law partner. Children 22 years old or older qualify as dependents if they meet both of these requirements. They are unable to financially support themselves because of a mental or physical condition. They have depended on their parents for financial support since before the age of 22. Yan lang po yung maaaring qualifications na pwede pong i-sponsor yung children 22 years or older. Now, back po tayo do sa ibang klase ng sponsorship. So, binasa ko lang po yung ibang mga important details na gusto ko pong i-share sa inyo. For further information, basahin nyo po na mabuti all about sponsoring your spouse, partner, or dependent children. Pagdating naman po sa parents and grandparents, usually po every year po ito nag-o-open itong programang ito to sponsor the parents and grandparents po. May cap po dito, ibig sabihin may limit po ng mga applicants na ina-accept po nila pagdating sa sponsoring the parents and grandparents. Ito po yung mga fees na babayaran. Sponsor a parent or grandparent from 1,050 Canadian dollars. Ang processing time po aabot sa 20 to 24 months. So up to 2 years po. If you submitted the interest to sponsor form in 2020 and were invited to apply to the 2021 intake, you can sponsor your parents and grandparents to become permanent resident of Canada. If you're invited to apply, there are 2 applications that are submitted and reviewed for the parents and grandparents program, the sponsorship application, and the permanent resident application. At yung eligibility ng mag-i-sponsor, na andito din po punta po tayo sa who you can sponsor. Ang pwede pong i-sponsor, you can sponsor your own parents and grandparents related by blood or adoption. Na andito po yung mga special cases din kung saan pwede pong i-sponsor yung parents and grandparents. The people you sponsor must also be eligible. Kailangan eligible din po yung i-sponsoran nyo. To show they meet the eligibility requirements, your parents and grandparents and their dependents must provide all required form and documents and their applications. Any additional information we request during processing includes kailangan po ng medical exam, police certificates, at biometrics. Mga examples din po na I would recommend na basahin nyo po dito. Kasi meron po mga special cases dito. Like example 1 is sponsoring your mother and father together as a couple. And then yung example number 2 is sponsoring your father, your stepmother, and their son. Pakibasa na lang po at hindi ko na po maisa-isa yung mga example na yan. Now, punta na po tayo do sa isa pang klase ng sponsorship wherein you can sponsor your relatives. So, ito po ang madaming nagtatanong sa akin who can apply, how to apply forms, fees, and processing. I-click po natin yan. Ang fees na babayaran po dito is for a child is $150 and sponsor an adult 22 years or older from $1,050. Now, yung processing time po varies by country, nakalagay, i-check natin yung application processing times. Click natin yon at tapos hanapin po natin ay family sponsorship and who are you sponsoring? Spouse, common law, dependent, adopted child, or other relative. Where does the adopted child or relative live? Hanapin po natin syempre is Philippines para makita lang po natin yung processing time. At ayun, ang Philippines. Get processing time. Ayan po, adopted child or other relative, 28 months po ang processing time nito. Now, balik po tayo para malaman natin kung sino yung eligible na mga sponsoran na relative. At baka pasok po kayo dito or para at least malaman ninyo na, uy, pwede ba ako ma-sponsoran ng relative ko or hindi? Who you can sponsor? Click po natin yung number 3. Kalagay po dito, you can only sponsor relatives like brother, sister, aunt, or uncle in very specific situation. Very specific situations lang po ito If your family member doesn't meet the criteria below, you can use our Come to Canada tool to find out which programs they may be eligible to apply for. Depending on your situation, there are 2 options for who you can sponsor. Ito po yung mga sitwasyon orphan brother, sister, nephew, niece, or grandchild. You can sponsor an orphan brother, sister, nephew, niece, or grandchild only if they meet all of these conditions. They are related to you by blood or adoption, both their mother and father passed away, they're under 18 years of age. So yung mga under 18 years of age na inyong mga kamag-anak, sister, nephew, niece, or grandchild, ang pwede nyo pong sponsoran. They're single. Ibig sabihin po, pag single, not married or in a common law or conjugal relationship. You can't sponsor your brother, sister, nephew, niece, or grandchild if one of their parents is still alive, no one knows where their parents are, their parents abandoned them, someone else other than their parents is taking care of them while one or both of their parents are alive. Their parents is in jail or otherwise detained. Other relatives. You may sponsor one relative related by blood or adoption of any age if you meet all of these conditions. So mga conditional po mga kababayan kung mag-i-sponsor po kayo na relatives. You, the person who wants to sponsor your relative, don't have a living relative, you could sponsor instead, such as spouse, common law partner. So yan po ang priority muna na dapat i-sponsoran nila. Yung spouse, common law partner, conjugal partner, son or daughter, parent, grandparent, orphan brother. So tsaka pa lang po yung orphan brother or sister, orphan nephew or niece, orphan grandchild. You, the potential sponsor, don't have any relatives, aunt or uncle, or any of the relatives listed above who is a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, registered Indian under the Indian Act. Ito po yung mga examples of who you can sponsor. Basahin lang po natin itong example number 1. Veronica doesn't have a spouse or a common law partner. She has no children and lives in Canada as a permanent resident. Her parents and grandparents have all passed away, and she doesn't have any relatives in Canada who are Canadian citizen, permanent residents, or registered Indians. Veronica would like to sponsor her aunt Betty, who she is very close with. Her aunt Betty is married and has a daughter. Veronica meets the requirements to sponsor her aunt because she doesn't have, unang-una, a close living relative she could sponsor instead, such as a spouse, partner, child, orphan siblings, parents or grandparents, and any other relatives, such as an aunt who is a citizen, permanent resident, or registered Indian of Canada. On the application, Betty will be designated as the principal applicant and her husband will be designated as a dependent. Betty's daughter can be included on the application only if she qualifies as a dependent child. If her daughter is older than the age limit or she doesn't meet all the requirements, she can be added to Betty's application and will have to immigrate to Canada on her own. And so, yan po yung mga pwedeng mga sponsoran na mga may nagnanais na mag-sponsor dito sa Canada. And that's it for me today mga kababayan. I hope na nakatulong po ang video ito sa inyo para at least mabigyan kayo ng idea, ng clarifications about sa sponsorship. At kung meron pong hindi malinaw sa aking pinaliwanag ngayon, please don't hesitate to leave a comment below at sasagutin ko po yan sa abot ng aking makakaya. I hope you like this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. And as always, more tips, opportunities, and advices to come. I will see you on my next video. Sige na po at nilalamig na ako eh.